What's up? Welcome back again. This is going to be my third video of the day. What you're looking at here is my favorite, all-time favorite roller rocker company, Scorpion Racing Products. They make an amazing product. Proudly made in the USA. This is definitely one of the parts on your new budget build you do not want to skimp on. It is your valve train and, most importantly, your roller rockers or your rocker arms. So in the box, this is what you're going to get from Scorpion. They lay it down real nice in this foam. They give you your pedestals, which look like this. That's what your rocker arm stands on, and these are self-aligning. And I'm going to show you how to properly align your rockers. I have another video on this, but I'm going to include it for this website. Then also it has your little bolts here. And these bolts utilize a hex head. And I believe the hex head is, what's that say, 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch hex head on there. And I have a little cheater tool here. This is a 1/4 inch T-handle. This is what I use to do the valve work. But it's pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do first is show you pushrod length determination. A very quick and dirty way of doing pushrod length determination. Now, since this engine is essentially going back together the same way it came apart in terms of ratio, rocker arm ratio. We have a 1.6 ratio, which is a factory roller rocker, or a factory roller motor rocker arm ratio. And we didn't change any of the head gaskets in here. We're running an OEM thickness head gasket, and we know that approximately 0.02 of an inch has been taken off of the head. I can already pretty much tell you what the pushrod length is going to be. It's going to be 6.250. So here's two ways you're going to go about this. For you at home, pick yourself up a CompCam pushrod length checker tool. This tool is very easy to use, and I actually have a video demonstrating how to do this, but this unscrews, and every turn of the pushrod length checker changes the measurement of the overall pushrod length. So you calculate, you start at 0, you start measuring your pushrods, and every full turn you calculate what dimension you're at to achieve your desired results. But for this engine, and your budget build at home, let's take a factory pushrod. Let's take a factory roller 5.0 pushrod. This is factory length. This has been cleaned up for testing. And what I'm basically doing here, before you go any further, I have a video on this already, but there's a lot of guys that have a problem with pedestal rocker alignment because the rockers want to twist from side to side once you torque them down. So what you want to do first is start off with a roller rocker that has no pushrod on it. Set the channel, set the rocker, hold it straight, insert one of these bolts here on the other side here, torque it down, tighten it down as good as you can get it on here so everything is straight. That ensures that this channel is straight and perpendicular to the valve stem. So when you're torquing your rocker down, you know that it's going to remain straight and it's not going to slide around on you. So I have another video, I'll probably link to that on this website so you guys can see what I'm talking about in more detail. But for all intents and purposes here, I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up on a tripod so I can illustrate how I do this. Okay, I have the camera positioned so you can see the roller rocker that we already mounted up, and this is the area that we're working in here. So here's our push rod, here's our valve stem, and make sure you have a wrench such as this here. If I can get it in focus here, to turn your crank, because you're going to need to turn your crank. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the wrench here on the crank bolt, just kind of let it hang off. And remember, your crank turns in a clockwise direction. So here we have a valve stem tip. What we want to do is check that this little rocker here, this little ball on the end, is rolling perfectly on that valve stem tip. And by perfectly, I mean center of the tip. If you get a reading and it's not at the center of the tip, then you know you need a longer or shorter push rod. So I'm going to prove to you right now how this stock length push rod here is the actual proper length for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop my rod in there and make sure it makes even contact with the lifter. Next thing I'm going to do is rotate the engine to make sure that this lifter here, that's on the blue rocker, let me get it in frame. The lifter for the blue rocker is rising. it's on its way up. I know that this will mean that this lifter is all the way down. So we know that we're down, we're at the base lobe of the cam. Now we want to go ahead and mark this valve stem tip so we can have visual representation of where the ball is actually rolling on the tip. So what I use is a dry erase marker. Don't use a Sharpie, use a dry erase. And I go ahead and I color in the valve stem tip so there's no metal exposed at all on the valve stem tip. Now I know that wherever this thing rolls is going to be exactly where that roller tip meets the rocker. So then I'm going to take my pedestal, I'm going to install it with the curved end facing the curved end of the internal roller. I'm going to get this aligned here. I'm going to line up the stud onto the push rod. And onto the push rod here, I'm going to install my hex. Okay, so we're going to find resistance now. So as I'm turning this, I'm twisting the push rod here. It's spinning freely. Hold that rocker straight. Right there, I feel resistance. This is spinning freely, and then it stops right there. Get that rocker straight. Grab your torque wrench, such as this. Set it to 20 foot-pounds and make sure it's at 12 o'clock. Your hand is at 12 o'clock on here. Set your hex in here, and you want to get that torque reading to hit at 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. So let's turn it. Turn it. There's 1/4. Boom. 20 foot-pounds at just under 1/2 a turn. So we've hit our 20 foot-pound mark at between 1/4 and 1/2 a turn, which is the desirable result. Now what we're going to do is turn the engine over twice. We're going to actuate this rocker 2 times. 1. 2. Let it go back down. Let this lifter rise. Stop. Get your regular wrench. Loosen this bolt. Undo it. And you're going to look and see where that wear mark is on that valve stem tip. Lift it straight off. See it? Let's grab the camera here so you can see what I'm looking at. Where's that at, guys? Dead center. Center, center, center. That's exactly what you need. That roller ball on this ball has to be perfect on that valve stem tip. If it's too high up or too low down, you have an incorrect pushrod length. So that's why on this particular build, I'm actually able to utilize a stock pushrod and determine the length. Now a stock length on a standard 5-liter roller 302, so your actual pushrod length is 6.248. So what's that tell you? You need a 6.248-inch pushrod. Now, understanding that this head has had 2/1000ths of an inch taken off of it, I can add 2/1000ths of an inch onto my pushrod. So what I will be ordering is 6.250 pushrods to accommodate for that 2/1000ths of an inch. And I noticed that my wear mark is a little tiny bit higher than it should be. A tiny, tiny bit. The camera's probably not picking it up. So that'll give me my desired result as far as the pushrod length. So you want to make sure you run with hardened pushrods. I'm getting mine from Comp. Comp Cams makes an awesome pushrod. We have Comp Cam hardened pushrods in the Mustang back here. That's exactly what this engine's going to get, and that will complete the valve strain. So sorry for any discrepancies or anything else, but I am only one guy doing this in my garage, and I'm trying to teach you how to do it right. So that's exactly what you want to do. Support your local speed shops, and if you have any questions, pipe them down in the comments below. Go to 302budgetbuild.com. Thanks for watching.